I have been learning Japanese for 30 days and these are my takeaways. Thanks a lot to my patrons, and if you're ready, let's get started. As you know, I've always wanted to learn Japanese, but I had a lot of mindset issues, which is something that I'm going to address in this video too. And I'm very glad that I started learning this language. It has been a really interesting journey so far. And yes, I'm going to structure the video in different sections. So basically, what have I used, what I personally find easy, what I personally find difficult, can I say anything in Japanese after 30 days, and like how it's gonna be in the future, whether I'm going to continue or not, and how. So yeah, let's get started with the tools that I've used. The tool I've been using the most has been the Story Learning course for Japanese beginners. When Story Learning contacted me to collaborate for sponsorship, they wanted me to take the Italian course. And I thought, well, why not take a course in a language that I actually don't speak? And so that's why this whole challenge started. So I'm very thankful because this has been a very interesting journey so far. So how does Story Learning work? The course is structured in the following way. You have 10 chapters and each chapter has a part of the story. So it's a story that stays the same, you have the same characters, the same people you're kind of following around. And the good thing is you have lots of materials. So basically you have the text, you can read it, you can listen to it. There's also slow audio option. And every chapter has different activities and different material attached to it. There are different ways to approach it, but the way I did it was I first listened to the story, then I listened and read the story, and then I went through the different parts of chapter 1. So for instance, the first time I read it and listened to it, I didn't understand much. And so then I kept working on that chapter with the vocabulary videos, the grammar videos, also the culture videos are some of the ones that I like the most.
So very simply, whenever you are introduced to anybody in Japanese, simply say, Hajimemashite.
Japanese being so different, I really enjoyed the vocabulary and grammar videos, which is something that surprised me because, as you know, I'm not that into grammar at all, but it was just fascinating to learn about this language. If you would like to take a Story Learning course, they are all on sale. Instead of $297, you'll only pay $97. So it's a great offer and you can do it with any of the languages you see on the screen. What are the most difficult parts about Japanese? Of course, learning the writing system is very challenging, very different, and so far I've learned a bit of hiragana. I do recognize a lot of the characters, but I am not able to write them. And I do feel it's important. I used to say that if I ever learn Japanese, I didn't want to learn the characters, and I kind of changed my mind on that. I do feel like it makes sense to learn them, and also hiragana I think has like 52 characters, so it's doable. But I think you don't have to learn it all at once. You can just take your time, and that's what I've been doing. So I've been just trying to learn it here and there, but without getting obsessed with it. Another thing that is very difficult, of course, so far I had only been learning Indo-European languages, and Japanese has extremely different vocabulary. So even really easy things that are the same in all languages, like mom and dad, are completely different in Japanese. I think it's haha for mom and chichi for dad. And it's like, this has nothing to do with whatever I've learned so far. So it's challenging. And maybe the last thing I found challenging, of course, grammar is very different. So you have particles, which you don't have in the other languages I've learned so far. The verb goes in the end, which is okay, something that I learned from German in some context, but it always goes to the end in Japanese, and you have these whole particles. So if you want to say a very simple sentence like this is an umbrella, you would say kore wa kasa desu. So this is an umbrella, but it's actually like regarding this, like this wa, kore wa. So regarding this, umbrella is. So you have like very easy sentences, like for instance, これは傘です. So this is an umbrella, but if you translate it word by word, you have this particle, wa. And basically wa is saying something like regarding this umbrella is. So it just, and this is like a very short sentence. I remember, for instance, in the course, Ollie giving the example of これはハンバーガーを食べます. So like I eat a hamburger, but it's there are these particles, right? So wa and wo or o, which is wo is like centered on the object, and there are like a lot of particles. I only know the most basic ones, and I think this is the most challenging part about Japanese. What are the easiest things about Japanese? I was saying that grammar is difficult, but grammar involves many aspects. So for instance, verb conjugation is super easy because you basically have one form. Well, you have several forms depending on how formal it is. I haven't deep dive into that much, but compared to, for instance, Spanish, where you conjugate differently each person, Japanese is easier. So you don't have that complexity for conjugation, and as far as I could see, when you talk about the future, you can also use the present, and for the past, you just add this shita. For instance, watashi wa hamburger or pizza tabemasu is like tabemasu is the present, and watashi wa pizza tabemashita. I ate a hamburger, right? So this makes it kind of easy. Of course, you have to learn these whole words, which are completely different. Wait, I forgot the particle, right? So, watashi wa pizza wo tabemashita. So yeah, I forgot it. So you see, that's difficult. But the verb conjugation in itself is easy. I do find as a Spanish speaker, there might be complex things about pronunciation, but I do feel like pronunciation is quite easy. I don't find it especially challenging. It's interesting, for instance, how they do the N at the end, san. They don't say, for instance, Tanaka-san. They said Tanaka-san. It does sound a bit like that to me anyway, but I do feel like it's doable. I haven't encountered any sound that I was like, oh, that's super difficult for me to pronounce. And I mentioned before that the vocabulary is difficult, but there are also here and there some words that are similar. So for instance, hotel is hoteru, hoteru, or toilet is toire, toire. Toire wa doko desu ka? Where is the toilet? For instance, it's an important question. Hoteru wa doko desu ka? Of course, there are other words like, I don't know, train station, eki. It has nothing to do. That's what I mentioned before. So it's not always easy, okay? But I had a couple of days where I wasn't that motivated, so I looked up words that were similar, like hamburger, pizza, I think it's keiki. Keiki is cake or something like that. So there are words that are similar, which makes it nice. Also some words that I think everyone knows, like konnichiwa. So that's a word I knew before. Or yeah, so there are words that are easy. The thing I struggled the most while learning Japanese was mindset. I think because I'm used to learning very fast, it can be really frustrating when you're not even able to say the most basic things. And I think this is something you have to learn how to deal with. And the way I dealt with it was just trusting the process and just learning every day for whatever time I had. When I was struggling, what I would do was to focus on things that were more fun to me, or just focus on easier things. Just be like, hey, today maybe is a difficult day, I don't feel like it, so I'll just stick to maybe reviewing vocabulary, reviewing things I've seen before, or just sticking to maybe more like cultural videos, things that maybe are easier to digest. So what I would do with mindset issues is just continue, just don't give up and continue, do one step at a time. So can I actually speak? Well, I would say that what I understand and what I can say differ a lot. So I do feel I have a lot higher understanding than what I can actually say. So I can say things, of course, like Ohayo, Konnichiwa, Onamae wa, Watashi wa Laura desu. I just said Laura, but I don't know, Laura would be Watashi wa Laurua desu, maybe. If any Japanese person is there, maybe you can tell me. So things like that, or where's the toilet? Toire wa doko desu ka? That was an interesting sentence also. Koko wa doko desu ka? Like, where am I here? So things for daily life like wakarimasen, like I don't understand, or sumimasen, like excuse me, arigatou gozaimasu, thank you very much. Kudasai, I think is please. So things like that, where if I see them in context, I understand them, but like being able to actually speak is difficult. Like I don't want to lie to you. So I'm able to understand a lot more than I can actually say. So what's gonna happen next? Am I going to continue? I feel like continuing, but at the same time, in a very chill way. I don't want to be pressured into learning. I don't want it to turn into something related to my ego, like I really need to learn Japanese super fast and show everyone. No, I'm learning it because it's fun, but I'm just taking my time and I will see what happens. Maybe at some point I'll be like, well, this was exciting, this was interesting, but it's not what I want anymore, or I don't really know what will happen, but it's exciting, and I hope you also enjoyed this. And if you have any tips on how to learn Japanese, I do find that being a polyglot helps a lot, because I sometimes find resources in German, other resources in Spanish, other maybe in English, so it does help being a polyglot because you can find different resources, and also things like, I remember the name of umbrella because it's like casa in Spanish, or the numbers ichi, ni, san, like 1, 2, 3, because ichi, I remember like with ichi in English, and Nissan, you know, is a brand of a car. So I started realizing that I do things like that, which I wasn't aware of, and it's fun to try to remember words like that. And yeah, I would love to know about your experience, and hope to see you soon in this channel. Bye bye.